All right, $1,000. Play now. Tweet. 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 Hey guys, I'm playing poker for real money on the Club WPT $1,000 tournament. It's a Diamond Club exclusive at http://www.clubwpt.com. Twitch TV/Rocky6489. We're gonna fold this one. There we go. You're not gonna fucking go and jump into that. Oof. All right, there's a flop. No chance she's got a jack. She wants to call. I'm gonna raise. You did not hear fucking Jack, you piece of shit. You fucking asshole. Fuck you. It's my bad. Anyway. Folding. Shangle right here. Fuck you. Let's go to the C panel. At least there I can get in now. Folding. Puppy. Puppy. I'm pissed. I don't want to do that. Okay. I don't understand what happened here. There we go. It's looking a little better. Get rid of that. Yeah, okay. We're looking good. I hope anybody's watching. I don't know if anybody is. Maybe I'll send out a tweet. No, that's not right. Let's go to Facebook. Hey Google, open Facebook. Hey Google. Hey Google, open Facebook.
Opening Facebook.
I'm online practicing for the WPT World Championships on YouTube. So go to Roy Kerwood. Go to that, not Roy. Oh, I don't know. We have a straight draw and a pair. Fucking love it, eh? Still got a straight draw. Still got a pair. 7, 8, 9, 10, Jack. I now have a straight. Jack high. Well, we won that one. Good on us. I don't know. Maybe. I wonder what we could do if I could turn this guy on. Loading. Okay, I got that. Is it working? Oh, I got, okay. There's the power down. Microphone?
Microphone off.
Alright. Microphone's on. I can hear it. Everything? Okay. Cool. And let's go to YouTube. How's that? I'm online practicing for the WPT World Championships on YouTube. So go to Roy Kerwood. Not Roy. No, I don't know. A straight draw and a fucking love it, eh? So a straight draw. Do that there. 7, 8, 9, jack. Oh, let's get the sound back over there. Let's put the sound on the desktop. Okay. There we go. Headphones, you can go rest over here. Thank you. Okay, let's put our music back on. A new tab. Not gonna call with that 8-7. I would have before, but I'm not calling now. I mean, that's just like, what the fuck? Music. Where the fuck are we? What the fuck? Huh? I am subscribed, aren't I? How can I not be subscribed to music? Okay. Playlists. Where's my history? Where's my history? Here's my history. Let's go back to yesterday. The playlist. That's what I fucking want. There you go. Alright. That's nice. Now let's see if we can't get this thing and send the URL. Where'd you go? Where'd you go? Where are you? There you are. Yeah, that's me over there. I don't know anybody at 73 excited. Well, maybe there's 3 other people, maybe there's 5,000. Holy fuck. That looks correct. So it looks like we're gonna have warm temperatures all the way down. Perfect. Fucking three people who fucking around me with money. Call it raise, but we won't call it raise. Tiny little raise. Half the pot. Half the pot. Okay. Let's flop it. Let's say we flop Ace King 10 of spade of clubs. Ace King 10 of clubs. That what's coming? Ugh. Piece of shit. Oh, no, we didn't hit it. But we do have a flush draw. And he falls. Okay, we're moving along. We'll come from 600 to 200 in 2 hands. Not bad. Stats say that we saw the flop twice out of the big blind. And won both times. Once with a showdown, once without. So I don't think we're doing too badly so far. Is there anybody out there? Looking at this. Have you ever seen this? This is from a place called nullschool.net, and they give a continuous real-time animated image of the world with overlays of everything you ever wanted to know. For example, they have air temperature, ocean currents, chemicals, particulates. I can show you, they'll animate the wind at different altitudes. So you can look at the jet stream. Here's the jet stream, and we'll close this. Okay, hide a minute. Look at this. This is the jet stream. I thought maybe in the wrong. No. Right? There we go. That's what the jet stream looks like. Right now you can see how weird it is. It's not going straight in one line. It comes from the top. It comes. See how it's coming racing down from the north. That's bringing cold air down, and then bringing it all the way down to Mexico, for God's sake. That's just insane. What's the date on this? That's on the 12th. So it's gonna start getting really cold. All you folks down in the southern US, California, and gonna get really, really, really cold. I mean, really cold. Okay, I got a 6 and an ace, and I'm gonna check call raise. Check call. I won't call raise. Yeah, I'm not calling that. 1300? Are you kidding? Fucking chip leader at the table. We'll let Sean battle it out. Mr. 15, 1957. Who gives a fuck? Who's gonna win it? Who's the Jack's gonna win it? Jack, ace, Jack wins it. 9, come on, 9, come on, 9. A 3 and an ace, an ace, an ace, an ace. No, I won't do it. 9, 3. Nice one. 3,000. Folding the 5-4 here. I can use it. I don't like it. Supper time. Nobody's watching at supper time. There's this. It's a party game. There's no fucking way he can win it. It's just done dead. Fucking stone fucking cold dead. Flop dead. Flopped. Play, what the fuck, I can't. I don't do any better if I do that, right? Alright, okay. I'm trying to learn how to do touch typing. You don't have the right setup for it. Whatever one is the proper desk. Touch typing. So from my computer there, and the mouse beside it, it's kind of tough. It's one of those situations. But too much stuff. I need too much stuff. I'm stuck in front of the computer. So that's all I know. Sorry, that's all. What do you know? I am stuck in front of it. Oh, that's good. Let's increase the diameter of the whole circuit. Let's try this. Here comes the buzz. A sweet feeling of a rush. That stuff is so good. Tingly. Let's see what rippers. King, queen, jack, 10, ace. There you go. The royal flush? Oh, fucking close there. That was close. Close to a royal flush. Alright. Blood pressure monitor is on. Just had a big toke. I'm feeling tingly. Should be pretty high. Let's see. Yeah, my veins are just busting, man. That's like really high blood pressure. Oh no, that's because I'm... Yeah, that's like 200. I can barely feel my fingers. 138. Okay, one time I'm gonna defend my big blind. I love you so much. Pardon me. Pardon me. I'm just gonna wait a little bit longer. on fucking Full House or Trips. Shit. Why do you think so like that? I mean, yeah, he should have had a jack. Should have folded. That's a setback. Oh, that's a setback. Oh my god. I just did another toe. I'm a true drug addict. I love it. Fuck off. Oh, fuck you. He just loves me to do it, man. loves me to do it, man. Okay. Big ones. This. $1,000 fucking
Hello? Oh, hey. I'm okay. I'm, couldn't figure out who was calling. So. Oh, yeah. So, something like Texas or something. So, how are you doing? Not too bad. I am, just, loading baby supplies up to my house here, so. Yeah. Doing real good. So, how's your contest coming along? All right. So, are you still down there? Are you still down there? Oh, right. Okay. Right. Oh, okay. So, well, so, well, they won't let you anywhere in the cockpit. So, yeah, so, yeah, so, well, listen, we're doing okay. Yeah. So, I actually picked up a little part-time job. I'm excited about that coincides nicely with my need to be in Whistler. So, yeah, it's kind of funny. So, yeah. Amen to that, brother. So true. Like, I find that for me, when I do it, right? So, yeah. Mhm. Yeah. So, so I'm gonna get back to my baby here. So, but I have a much more free time in the next 4 days. Okay. So, yeah. Take care, pal. So.
What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's vlog, we are gonna be finishing up our Texas trip with the live stream that both Jesse and I played in. Yes, we were at the same table. You'll see hands from him and I throughout today's video. But before we get into the hands, I have a very quick announcement. I'm so excited about this. This Thursday, December 8th, from noon all the way till midnight, we will be playing in the most epic vlogger game. The stakes are $25.50. The lineup includes Brad Owen, Andrew Nemi, Rampage, Caitlin Komeski, my favorite Texas poker player, Poker Traveler, etc. There's gonna be a bunch of us there. I'm so excited to be playing in this. I'm a little nervous, I'm not gonna lie, but that's gonna be happening this Thursday on the WPT YouTube and Twitch channels. I can't wait. But for today, let's jump into the video. We officially made it, you guys. We're here at Rounders. We got Nikki Lim over here. We got Chad, technician slash fan of the vlog, always in the chat.
Slash guy who does 36-hour poker sessions.
We just found out that they drew for seats in this live stream game, and I get to be directly on Jesse's lap.
You love it.
Yes, I love getting to 3-bet him every other hand. It's gonna be really fun. It's a weird dynamic. We've never played on a live stream together before.
We haven't, have we?
No, we've either
Play with each other on a live stream.
we did the tag team, and that's it. Today's live stream game is a 10-25 game, no 7 deuce or slow rolling required, just some straight up 2-blind poker. But you guys, we're in Texas and y'all know everything is bigger here, including the straddles. So Jesse and I both buy in for $5,000 and we're ready to roll. Jesse gets involved second hand of the stream, so I'm gonna let him kick things off.
We start right off the bat with some straddles, just in case it isn't clear exactly how this game is going to be. It starts off when Jack High opens from early position and I peel pocket threes in the cutoff. The big blind, Yu-Chan, comes along as well. The 6-4-3 flop is obviously fantastic, and when it checks to me, I decide to bet small. I'm really looking to induce some sort of light check raise, maybe some kind of float from my opponents, and I think a small bet will achieve that. Both players call, and now I'm begging for a blank on the turn. What the dealer puts out is, and I cannot stress my seriousness about this enough, probably the best turn card I've ever seen in my entire life.
Oh,
Wow.
Second hand clause?
Oh my god.
So yeah, pretty nice turn. So now when it checks to me, I have to pick a size. I really like going small with my hand. I think if they have a full house or a flush, they're going to raise anyways. And I think that this gives them the maximum opportunity to bluff if they have a hand with just one spade in it. Yu-Chan does tank a little bit before raising to 950. This is going really well.
Music to
Yeah.
Jesse's ears. Now, do you ever feel like you raise here? I feel like sometimes I would.
No. Let them keep betting because now they're the aggressor and they're out of position.
Wow.
The river is the ace of spades, which is a weird card for me. I would have expected a lot of his bluffs to come from stuff with the bare ace of spades, and now he can't have that. So I'm hoping that he already made a flush on the turn with something like queen 10 of spades, or he has something like the king queen with the king of spades in it and now made a flush on the river, or just had a boat the whole time. Either way, I can't think of too many hands that aren't feeling great when this river card shows up. So I'm not particularly surprised when he fires out 1700, which is right around half my stack. I take a few seconds before giving him the bad news and piling the rest of my chips in as well. He ends up folding, but we still take down a huge pot to start off the session real strong. Hats off to him, by the way. He folded the queen of spades, getting a pretty insane price. It's a fold that I don't think a lot of people end up finding in game, so really nice job by him there.
Oh, he shows one. I think he just...
The very next hand, I'm riding this high. I look down at king 9 of diamonds and raise over a limp, and Ashley, who told me before we started playing that she was going to, quote, 3-bet my face off, 3-bets me.
I'm so happy the poker gods delivered the perfect setup for me to go after my poker coach right away in this first orbit. And although this is a pretty standard 3-bet in my spot, the most interesting part of this hand in my opinion is the fact that Jack High has started off this stream by limping certain hands. So I'm going to keep my eye on him throughout the rest of this game and try to figure out what he's doing that with.
Now my hand's pretty weak, so I fold, but let's just say I'm skeptical.
In this one, I'm in the hijack with Ace Jack offsuit. I finally get to open a hand. I make it $300 to go because the $100 straddle is on. Just the straddle comes along. That's our good friend Jack High in the straddle. So we go heads up to the 3 deuce deuce rainbow board. And interestingly enough, he leads into me. This is a non-standard play. Normally you don't get let into on this dry of a board texture, especially if they have something strong, because they expect you as the pre-flop raiser to be c-betting this. So I'm really curious about this. With ace high though, I'm not going anywhere. I stick in the call. The turn comes down the 7 of hearts, and this guy does not slow down. Now he leads $600 into 880 something. It's a much bigger percentage of the pot than he bet on the flop. I really think that ace high could be good here some of the time, but the question that I asked myself on this turn is whether I would be willing to call off again on the river. Let's say if he overbets river or he goes large on the river. I landed on no, and that is why I fold this turn. Even though I thought maybe I could be ahead sometimes, I didn't want to throw in another 600, have this guy bluff again on the river, and then not be willing to call it. So saving my 600 bucks. Unfortunately, he did have a bluff in this spot. He only had 6 high. He was leading with his gutter. So not great, but I mean, it's like a whatever hand. It doesn't matter really either way, I don't think. It's just one of those things where you can level yourself and talk yourself into doing either one. And in this moment, I chose to fold and move on.
Just 2 hands after that, I look down at king 10 of spades and raise it up, getting 2 callers out of the blinds. The 6x5 flop brings me a flush draw, and when it checks to me, I decide to do something a little funky and check back. I think betting's fine here, but it would really suck to get check raised and not get to see all 5 cards with my hand. The turn 4 is not what we're looking for, and Jack decides to bet big when it checks to him. I'm not ready to fold yet. We still have a fairly strong draw, and I actually think I'm beating a lot of his bluffs. So I call, and then Rob overcalls behind me out of the big blind. At this point, I certainly cannot win with my hand at showdown unimproved, but I can still make a flush, and there are some river cards that I'm pretty happy to bluff on. Fortunately, plan A gets there, and we just river the jack of spades. It checks to me. I need to decide what size I want to go with here. My opponents could definitely have some traps, so I have to keep that in mind when I choose my sizing. I end up betting around pot. I'm a little concerned that if I go smaller, hands like a straight or a lower flush won't check raise anyways, so this is how I think I'm going to get the maximum. I also feel like if they had plans to bluff raise, this size makes that so much harder for them. They end up folding a couple of real weak hands, so I guess it didn't really matter what size we bet. And we are now up over $4,000 in the first orbit.
And one orbit was way too much time for Cedric, the poker traveler, to not be straddling. So he talks me into putting on the $50 straddle just so that he could put on the $100 straddle, and then Rhonda, gangster to his left, throws in $200. And for Jesse, he's definitely played these stakes before, but for me, I'm like, holy crap, this is becoming a huge game.
So now we're playing a much bigger game than we normally are for this hand. Big Daddy Chaz, by the way, this guy's name is Big Daddy Chaz. That's like the best poker nickname I've ever heard. Opens from early position. We look down at pocket 9s in the first blind. I consider 3-betting here, but I'm not particularly thrilled to 3-bet and call it off, or 3-bet fold when we have the stack size. I also think that flatting is good. I want to keep the pot smaller when I have to play out of position. Everyone else folds, and we see a pretty favorable 10-3 deuce flop. Chaz bets small, and I don't really see any reason to do anything but call here. turn is the 6 of hearts, I end up checking. Chad takes a pretty large sizing, and this is actually starting to become... I end up calling, but I think it's a mistake. When I have 9s, particularly with the 9 of hearts, I block a lot of the straight draws that he could have made on the turn. I also block some of the heart draws. So what I end up leaving him with is a lot of overpairs or hands like ace 10. One of the problems with calling is I think that he only bets stronger hands than my hand, and he will always check back hands like ace king or pocket 7s and try to get to showdown. But the calling station in me is just too strong, and I flick the chips in. The river is the very safe looking 6 of spades. I feel like this river card is a bit of a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it certainly doesn't improve any of the hands he could have that I was already beating. On the other hand, I'm not particularly convinced that anybody has enough bluffs here when they bet on a card like this. And unfortunately, anybody does include my man Big Daddy Chaz. So when Chaz does put out what looks like a very healthy river bet, I hem and I haw for a bit, but I eventually just decide that this isn't one of the best hands I have on the river, and I'm not sure if he's actually bluffing that much, so I finally just let it go. Chaz ended up having pocket queens, and I gotta say that maybe on my best day I could have found a turn fold, but I'm happy that I didn't compound mistakes by calling the river as well.
So far, this session, I have been super card dead, and when I do get a halfway decent hand, there's a lot of action in front of me, and it becomes a weak hand and I just have to fold, and that's going to happen, but being on a live stream, sometimes the dynamic is that you feel this internal pressure to put on a show, to force the action, and having my literal poker coach sitting right next to me, it was really helpful holding myself accountable, not making any plays that I would have to explain to him later. You know, this is a big game for me. I was happy with the fact that I was staying disciplined. That's my little mid-session update.
Just one orbit later, we see the return of the $200 straddle, when Jack High raises it up from the cutoff. I look down at ace-queen offsuit in the first blind, and now I have a decision to make. Jack High started the hand with right around $5,000, which is just 25 straddles. Ashley and Poker Traveler both have about that behind as well. Now, Rhonda's got a little bit more. Rhonda has me covered. I have around 8,000 or 40 straddles. If they all had 25 straddles, I'd be very happy with just shoving all in here with my hand. I think that one player behind having a little bit more than the others doesn't really make me want to deviate from my action. So I ship it in, all the players behind me fold, and now it's back on Jack High. He tanks for a while. He honestly looks pretty pained about his decision. And at one point, I think he calls out my exact hand. At this point, based on his table talk, it becomes extremely clear that he's got a pocket pair. So now I'm just begging for a fold. And eventually, that's exactly what he does. But then he turns it over and he had pocket 10s. Wow, I was not expecting that hand to fold. Not something I'd expect to see too often in Texas, though. The literal next hand, there are now no straddles on, and Big Daddy Chaz raises from early position. I look down at pocket 10s on the button and begin to question whether or not it's even safe for one man to card rack this hard. I re-raise to $300, which is quite large, but we are very deep, and I do have the button, and I like raising a little bit bigger on the button. Chaz is not impressed and takes very little time before bumping it up to $800. All of a sudden my hand feels a lot less like the nuts. Either way, we're certainly not folding. If I have the best hand right now, great. And if I don't, I'm getting the right odds to set mine anyways. The flop is a bit of a disaster. Ace-8-8 is not a flop that I want to see. I'm still losing to jacks, queens, kings. If he has something like ace-king or ace-queen, I'm now losing. And honestly, if he does have a 4-bet bluff, it's going to have an ace in it more often than not. While I'm racking my brain to try to come up with hands that I could actually beat, something like king-queen suited maybe, Chad decides to bet very small. I honestly really like this sizing by him. I think it puts hands exactly like mine in the bin. I'm not really happy with calling or folding against this. But, me being me, I do decide to call and take a turn. The turn is an offsuit jack, which is another terrible card, because if he was bluffing with like king jack or queen jack, he's now winning as well. At this point, if his hands go anywhere near his chip stack, I'm going to be folding. But he does end up checking, and I very happily take my free card. The river is the extremely safe 5 of diamonds, and now the wheels in my head start turning. Honestly, I think this is one of the worst hands I get to the river with, and I'm really considering bluffing if it's checked to me again. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, Chad doesn't give me that opportunity and fires out a huge bet himself. At this point, I think I have a very easy fold for all the reasons I mentioned before, and I pretty quickly lay it down. Chet ended up having ace-king, so we got unlucky on the flop, but managed to lose very little after our hand wasn't good anymore. The next hand starts with yours truly generously putting on that $50 straddle.
And I look down at ace-8 suited under the gun. We're gonna raise this up. I make it $150 to go. Poker Traveler to my left flicks in the call, folds all the way around to Jesse in the straddle.
And we look down at king-queen offsuit in the big blind and call as well.
Shocker. So the three of us all see the king, queen, 9, 2 diamond board.
The flop is a good one. We've got top 2. Alright, time to punish Ashley for that very callous raise pre-flop. I check it over to her.
I don't know about you, but I do not see a spade. I don't see any sort of connection with my hand. And with these two positions calling, I think that one of them is likely to have smashed this board. So I check it over to Poker Traveler, who throws out a bet. And since I've already mentally checked out of this hand and I've already folded in my head, I'm going to let Jesse take over the hand from here.
I don't know if it's a timing tell or just something in my subconscious, but it feels awfully strong. Normally I would always raise here, but given this feeling that I have, mixed with the fact that Ashley looked very disinterested in the hand, so I'm not worried about her calling behind and having a flush draw or something, I decided to just call and kind of slow play my hand, and maybe if I'm somehow beat, find a way to not lose my entire stack. It's also always nice to have some slow plays on a board this draw heavy. I think that if I just call the flop and Poker Traveler does have a bluff, he's not going to slow down on most turns or rivers. So I do call, Ashley folds, and the turn is a wild one, the 10 of diamonds. This is actually one of the few cards I do think he might slow down with on his bluffs. Being out of the big blind, I do make a lot of flushes on this board that he doesn't. Also, when I check call the flop, I can have a lot of possible straights, so I decide that this is a board that I do want to lead a lot. Now, king-queen is not the first hand you would think about leading on this type of turn, but I actually think it makes some sense. If he has a two-pair hand, he's going to slow down, so I will get a little bit of value out of him by leading. I put out 200, he calls extremely quickly, and the river is not exactly the card we're looking for. The river 9 means that we're now losing to some of the two pairs that we were beating on the turn. It's also not a great card because he's the player who has the full houses in this spot, and I really don't have many full houses now. I'm not thrilled about this river. One thing is for sure, I'm pretty happy checking. Now he bets really small. Okay. I don't think calling is an option. I really don't even know what bluffs he could get to the river with. It's so hard to come up with a potential bluff. So I'm either folding or I'm potentially turning my hand into a bluff and raising really large. The problem with bluffing here is that I just don't know what full houses I show up with on the river. He might think that I check raise for value with the ace-high flush, and maybe I do, but I think it's a tough sell to try to tell him that I have a bunch of strong hands on this river the way I've played. So after running a bunch of very heroic scenarios in my head, I finally decided to just fold my cards. I do find out later that he had Jack 10 of spades, which makes me quite happy with my flop play, I'm not gonna lie. A little later, Jack High limps from under the gun, and I'm in early position and look down at pocket jacks. I raise it up. It folds back around to Jack High, who is still stacking chips from the pot he just won, and he very quickly re-raises to 425. These sort of limp re-raises often set off alarm bells in my head, and I think they're quite likely indicative of a range that's super strong, something like aces and kings, and maybe that's it.
Alright, at this point, you guys are used to seeing Jesse up here in this little corner for Coach's Corner, but today we're going to turn it into Student Square, which is basically just me asking him questions about his hands. So earlier we saw Jack High limp and call, he's limp and folded, now he's limp 3-betting you, so what do you make of his range here?
Jack High has been looser than most, and he's been limping a lot, so I actually think he'll have some more hands here, but I still think he'll be quite strong. I'm thinking that he could have hands like pocket tens, ace king, ace queen, and then maybe he mixes in some bluffs as well. I'm not exactly sure what, but it could be some ace x suiteds, queen 10 suited, it could be something like king queen offsuit. Honestly, I'm really not sure because I don't see this type of move that often. We go to the flop and it's honestly a pretty great one. 6-5 deuce rainbow is about as good as it's going to get for my hand without flopping a set. He bets somewhat small, 300 into 900, and now I do some thinking. I have a bit of a classic situation in the sense that my hand is pretty strong, but it's still vulnerable to the hands that I beat. The hands like ace king, ace queen, maybe king queen all have 2 overcards, and I wouldn't mind protecting from those or charging them to draw right now. I also feel like if I do raise the flop right now, I'm always going to get to see the river for the price that I set because I have the option to just check back on the turn. So I make it 950. He calls fairly quickly and pretty confidently, and we see a very safe turn card in the deuce of clubs. He checks the turn. It's not time to get fancy. Let's just stick with the plan that we had on the flop, and maybe we have to make some difficult decisions on the river. The river is the queen of diamonds, which is pretty far from a blank. This actually improves a hand like ace queen if he did play it this way. He immediately starts looking at his chips, then playing with his chips. Just a bunch of signs that he is going to bet this river, but he's not sure what size to bet. To be honest, I've seen that sort of activity from players who are bluffing or players who have it, but in this particular instance, it really felt like strength to me. He does finally bet, and it's quite small, just over $1,000 into almost a $3,000 pot. Man, I feel so torn here. I'm getting a great price, and I don't need to win that often, but it also kind of feels like if I put the money in the pot, I'm just never going to win.
He's listening to the conversation on the table, smiling. He's not worried about a call.
Well, it's hard to say. It's, oh, wow.
Nice fold.
World
Nice
class.
fold.
This is honestly so painful.
The stream is winding down, so I'm desperate to get involved in at least some hands when I look down at King 6 of Hearts on the button. The $100 straddle is on. I've only got 3,700 or so in my stack, which is a pretty short stack in a cash game, so I open it up to $300. Poker Guru is in the biggest straddle. He defends, and we both see the King 9-5 2 club board. He checks it over to me. I do flop top pair, but it was one of
Just when we think we've seen it all, life always finds a way to surprise us. To one Alaskan resident, a day like many others delivered a priceless gift on her front porch that left her speechless. When she went searching for her beloved pet cat, she got the shock of a lifetime when she found him in rather peculiar company. This really is one of those stories that
Tonight, the rising fears of the triple-demic ahead of the holidays and my one-on-one with Dr. Anthony Fauci. Flu hospitalizations nearly doubling in a week, the early surge of RSV and COVID cases rising again. What's causing these viruses to spike? Days after gunfire knocked out those 2 power substations in North Carolina, law enforcement sources say multiple shell casings have been found, evidence that could help them find who was responsible for the attack that cut power to tens of thousands. The utility says it expects to have power restored to everyone by tonight. I want to turn now to that victory in the Georgia runoff for Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock, a close win that impacts both President Biden and former President Trump. Peter Alexander is in Georgia tonight.
After a marathon midterm, Democrat Raphael Warnock arriving back at the Capitol today following his narrow runoff victory over Republican Herschel Walker.
After a hard-fought campaign, you got me for 6 more years.
The first black senator elected from Georgia, a pastor at Atlanta's historic Ebenezer Baptist Church, earning Senate Democrats a pivotal 51st seat. Warnock's win means Senate Democrats will no longer need to rely on the vice president to break ties, lessens the power of frequent Democratic holdouts like Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, and speeds up the confirmation process for Biden nominees, including judges.
It's going to be a lot quicker, swifter, and easier.
Though with their win in the House, Republicans will be able to put the brakes on President Biden's agenda. Last night's results a stinging defeat for Walker, a political novice with a checkered past.
I'm not going to make any excuses now because we put up one heck of a fight.
His loss, the latest setback for former President Trump, who just announced another White House bid. Walker joining a long list of Republican candidates in key races who Mr. Trump handpicked or endorsed that then underperformed and lost. Many Republicans blaming Mr. Trump for the party's failure to flip a single Democratic Senate seat despite high inflation and an unpopular president. And tonight, a new legal development for Mr. Trump. His attorneys say they found 2 more classified documents in a federal storage facility containing his possessions and turned them over to the FBI, according to 2 people familiar with the matter. Lester?
Peter Alexander in Atlanta, thank you. Let's go back overseas now, Germany tonight, where authorities arrested dozens of people in a sweeping crackdown, accusing them of trying to overthrow the government in a coup. Kelly Kobiea has that story.
In early morning raids across Germany, thousands of police officers at more than 100 locations arrested 25 people. Authorities say they were planning a violent overthrow of the German government in a far-right extremist plot. Prosecutors say the suspects had acquired weapons, organized weapons training, and intended to storm the German parliament building. The suspects are followers of conspiracy myths, including QAnon, this federal prosecutor said. He said the arrested suspects, primarily German nationals, but also including one Russian national, formed a shadow government to put in place should they succeed in overthrowing the German government, which they believed was run by a so-called deep state. Among those arrested, a suspected ringleader from a historic royal family, as well as German military veterans. Germany's interior minister said the depths of the organization's structure remains under investigation. The group had a political and military arm, she said, showing the danger of this suspected terrorist organization. Arrests were made across Germany, as well as one each in Austria and Italy. Some suspects making their first court appearance today, in the wake of one of the biggest counterterrorism operations in German history. Kelly Kobiea, NBC News.
And there's a political crisis tonight in Peru, where the Congress removed President Pedro Castillo from office. He was accused of permanent moral incapacity for trying to dissolve the legislature to avoid impeachment vote. Castillo was arrested, and the vice president was sworn in to replace him. In 60 seconds, a major advance in the treatment of one of the most deadly cancers, melanoma. The remarkable results, and could it bring hope for treating other cancers? Back now with a promising new treatment for a common and sometimes deadly form of cancer, melanoma. And doctors are hoping this groundbreaking advance could hold the key for treating other types of cancer as well. Stephanie Gosk explains.
The leading cause of melanoma beats down on us every day. In the last 30 years, cases of this deadly form of skin cancer have been on the rise. But Bruce Hawley is living proof that a new treatment could dramatically improve prognosis.
This stuff works. Guess what? A lot of people are going to be able to benefit from it.
Hawley was diagnosed with metastatic melanoma. A mole on his foot turned into tumors throughout his body. Treatment wasn't working until doctors tried a new therapy called TIL, tumor infiltrating lymphocytes.
Over the course of 3 months, it diminished 70%.
TIL therapy relies on a patient's own immune cells, harvesting them from a tumor, growing the cells from millions to billions, and then transplanting them back to go after the cancer.
Those immune cells can recognize the cancer and secrete proteins that poke holes in the cancer, causing them to explode in a process called apoptosis.
A study out today followed 168 patients with metastatic melanoma. For those who received TIL, the risk of their cancer progressing was 50% less compared to those who got a different immune therapy. 20% of TIL recipients saw their tumors disappear entirely, compared to 7% in the other group. FDA approval for TIL therapy could come next year. Researchers at the Moffitt Cancer Center believe that could be just the beginning.
TIL therapy will be a game changer for many kinds of cancers.
It's already been a game changer for Hawley.
Life's exciting, and God's given me the opportunity to do it again.
Stephanie Gosk, NBC News.
Up next, as we continue tonight, royal revelations. What will Prince Harry and Meghan Markle say in a new docuseries coming out just hours from now? We're just hours away now from a potential royal bombshell, the premiere of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's highly anticipated Netflix docuseries. Keir Simmons now with the controversy swirling at Buckingham Palace.
Are you putting money before family? Duke and Duchess Harry and Meghan in New York ahead of their multi-million-dollar docuseries released tomorrow, receiving an award for fighting racism. The couple relaxed and joking.
All of you, thank you for coming.
Thank you for bringing me on this very special date night.
You're welcome. But at 3 a.m. Eastern, Netflix will stream the first 3 episodes. There's a hierarchy of the family. The rest of the royal family have only seen 2 one-minute trailers. It's a dirty game. The pain and suffering of women marrying into this institution. Even supporters anxious tonight.
I don't want Harry and Meghan to get to a point of no return where they say things that perhaps the royal family takes such exception to, the relationships can't be repaired.
Doesn't it make more sense to hear our story from us?
And already the trailers have caused questions. This image depicting hungry paparazzi is actually from a Harry Potter premiere.
There's been so much analysis and already so much outrage just about the trailer.
Buckingham Palace faces a tricky 24 hours, but so does Netflix, Harry and Meghan. No revelations, and the critics will say it's a flop. Big revelations, and they'll accuse Harry of attacking his own family. Lester?
All right, Keira Simmons in London tonight. Thanks. Coming up, Times Person of the Year, the man and the spirit of Ukraine. That's next. Finally, Times Person of the Year is the President of Ukraine, honored as well the spirit of Ukraine as it suffered through a grinding year of war. Richard Engel is there.
It's another accolade for Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky. In Ukraine, he's been an inspiration since Russia invaded. Back then, U.S. intelligence encouraged Zelensky to escape.
There's a now legendary story that you said, no, I don't need a ride, I need ammunition. Is it true?
I think yes, but it happened. I think it happened many times. A lot of leaders called me by phone and told me that you have to go, you have to ride, you have to run.
Zelensky was not especially popular before the invasion, and Ukrainians may vote him out of office when the war is over. But many Ukrainians believe President Zelensky is the man for the moment. I saw it in Kherson as Ukrainian forces liberated the city.
Our president is a smart person, and he's a person who worked with people.
But this is not a one-man show. Zelensky is not dragging a reluctant nation. Ukrainians are doing the fighting, backed by American and NATO weapons. Today, Ukraine faces a new test, fighting against the bitter cold as Russia systematically dismantles the power grid. Today, in warming shelters, Ukrainians call them invincibility centers. It's clear they're not breaking.
They can take the light, they can take everything, but they cannot take our freedom.
Ukrainians' biggest fear now isn't so much the Russians, but that the West will give up on them, despite the sacrifices they accept as the price for freedom. Richard Engel, NBC News, Kherson.
And that's Nightly News for this Wednesday. Thank you for watching, everyone. I'm Lester Holt. Please take care of yourself and each other. Good night.
December 7th, today is the 81st anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor. It's Pearl Harbor Day. Many Americans paid tribute today to those we lost at Pearl Harbor, but none less eloquently than former naval officer and White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer, who tweeted, "Today is D-Day. It only lives in infamy if we remember and share the story of sacrifice with the next generation. Hashtag D-Day." Unfortunately for Sean, today is not D-Day. D-Day's on June 6th, nor does it live in infamy unless you're a Nazi or Kanye West. D-Day is what Sean Spicer called it when he brought a report card home, so he's confused. And then, not to be outdumbed, Congresswoman Lauren Boebert from Colorado tweeted this moving tribute to those who lost their lives at Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor, a day that will live in infamy. But the real dummy of the day today is none other than Herschel Walker, who will not be moving to Washington. He lost bigly last night. to Senator Raphael Warnock in the Georgia runoff. Warnock was able to win full term in the Senate by staying focused on his primary message to Georgia voters, which was, I am not Herschel Walker. And while Herschel did not call Senator Warnock to offer congratulations last night, he did do what some notable Republicans won't. He made a concession speech in front of a crowd of supporters at Herschel headquarters.
I don't want any of you to stop dreaming. I don't want any of you to stop believing in America. I want you to believe in America and continue to believe in the Constitution and believe in our elected officials. Thank you, guys, and thank you.
You know what? I'm glad to see those guys getting along. And with the election behind him, Herschel says he will now focus on his true passion, having more kids than Nick Cannon. Herschel is already working on his next project, which is desperately trying to learn to sing Baby Got Back while dressed like an acorn on The Masked Singer. Herschel has decided to step away from the spotlight to spend more time denying allegations from his family. Thank you. Let me tell you something. No one, and I mean no one, is more grateful that Herschel Walker lost the race than the hardworking clip researchers here at our show. Not only do they have to watch him, they have to transcribe his sentences. So one of them in the middle of the night started running around on the freeway. We were worried. Warnock's win in Georgia marked yet another high-profile loss for a candidate backed by Donald Trump.
I am not a gay man, and I love you, Herschel. Herschel, you're fired.
That was the first time it happened. An endorsement from Trump is almost as worthless as a degree from Trump University. His record in swing states this midterm election, it was 2-14. As Trump would say, that's not good. Maybe instead of president, with a record like that, he should run for coach of the Houston Texans, you know? After the loss, Trump wrote, "Our country is
We're gonna call it WPT Global. Four, five, six, seven. I hate this. I fucking hate it. Alright, we got 20 minutes before anything's happening, so. I guess the idea is I try to Two, three, four, five. Wouldn't that be nice, eh? Little coughing fit there. So, I was watching this report on YouTube. We're talking about people that won't take vaccinations. Almost a third of the U.S. Army guys are not refused to get vaccinated and are being kicked out of the Army. Just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, you're willing to crawl on your fucking belly in mud underneath barbed wire while you're being shot at. because you're being told to. But if that same guy tells you to go get a fucking worldwide renowned injection to save you from from becoming a vector or a carrier of a pandemic disease, you say no. Because it's your right to say no. Not because you don't believe in the vaccine. That has nothing to do with it. It's because you have the absolute right to say no and lose your job. It's happening to thousands and thousands of people. That's why America is completely fucked. I mean, it isn't fucked because there's no money. There's billions upon billions of dollars ready to go, being invested every second. Well, I've got to go with my ace-4 because it's just the kind of chance you take, right? Oh! Got him out-kicked. Got him out-kicked. I got him out-kicked. I love it. Don't pair, please. Please, don't hit a 3. Please, don't hit another fucking spade. If you could. Oh, thank God. Alright, I'll win that one. Oh, we split it. Why did we split it? Ace high with the queen. Okay, fine. Piece of fucking shit. Where's my queen when I want it? I just wanted a fucking queen, you piece of shit. Ah. Stop it. Fuck. Where are my fucking notifications, you piece of shit? Where in the fuck?